Hi, the lesson that we are going to cover today is on introducing the workspace. This lesson gives us a chance to get familiar with Adobe InDesign and its workspace, panels, and layout. It is a robust application we use for desktop publishing. All right, we need to go to File and Open, and we need to open the lesson file that we're going to be working with today, and that is 01_start. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and open that. All right, you're usually going to be seeing this dialog box each time that you potentially open something in InDesign, and it is just alerting you to an issue that's going on with the links. All right, it says this document contains links to sources that have been missing or modified. You can update the modified links now or update these later using the links panel. It's letting us know that we have two modified links. We can choose not to update the links, and we can do that manually on our own, or we can update modified links. Okay, now the book is actually going to tell you exactly what you need to do whenever you open this up. All right, usually it's going to go ahead and have you update modified links. However, there may be a lesson where you're going to need to choose don't update links. So make sure you refer to that page in the lesson when you're opening that file up for the first time. So you make sure that you're choosing the right response. All right, for today, we do need to choose update modified links. All right, and this is what the 01_start, the .indd file looks like. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resave this. I'm going to do a file, save as. Now remember, whenever you initially open a lesson file and you go to save it, it's automatically going to revert back to the last place that it opened from. All right. You don't want to probably save this in your lesson files folder. So you are going to want to navigate to your file folder for your homework assignments. Okay. And I have a lesson 1 here. And then I am just going to go ahead and change this to 01_intro. All right. And you can see in our open tab right up here at the top, it has now been resaved and renamed as 01_intro. Okay. Taking a look at our lesson in the textbook, looking at the workspace. The InDesign workspace is the configuration of the work area. Now you can save your own custom workspace or choose a pre-configured one, and there are several to choose from. These are not the only 3, but I'm just going to mention a couple of them. There is digital publishing, printing and proofing, and typography. Okay, when you first open InDesign, it's everything that you happen to see on your screen. Okay, now we have our menu bar. All right, and if you are looking at the screenshot that is in the section on looking at the workspace, you can see how they have this labeled. Okay, and this is kind of what I'm going to work through with you right here on the video. All right, we have our menu bar. Okay, obviously I am working on a Windows computer, so my screen may differ slightly from yours, especially if you are working on a Mac. But our menu bar is right up here at the top. Okay, it's what you see right here. File, edit, layout type, object table view, plugins, window, and help. Okay, all right. And then you can see that we have an application bar and a control panel. Okay, and these are all up here at the top of the screen. All right, our control panel is the same thing as our options bar in Photoshop. All right, it's the exact same thing. I don't know why they don't call it the same thing, but in InDesign, it is referred to as your control panel. All right, so moving down on the left-hand side here, we have our tools panel. Okay, this is docked at the left-hand side of the screen. And then we have just our commonly used panels that are docked at the right side of the screen. Okay. All right, so we have our pasteboard, which is this area right out in here, and we're going to talk more about that here in just a little bit. But this is the area that you can see. It's kind of like your desk, if you will, and you can store things on that pasteboard that maybe you are going to use but haven't did a drag and drop and actually put it over into your document area yet. All right, and then everything that we're looking at is actually in our document window. I had mentioned to you guys about the workspace. I am always going to be working in typography. Okay, I know I had mentioned digital publishing, printing and proofing, and typography as just a couple of the examples of workspaces. All right, but I'm just going to go ahead and click the downward arrow and expand that menu so that you can see that we have advanced, book, digital publishing, essentials, essentials classic, interactive for PDF, printing and proofing, review, and typography. Okay. So in InDesign, I predominantly will always be working in typography. So you'll notice that workspace in all of my lecture videos. Okay. Now on your typography workspace, if you were to go ahead and change your workspace to typography, you may not have as many open panels over here on the right-hand side that are collapsed but grouped together. All right. But these are ones that I always work with. So as you open them in window over here, you can go ahead and organize them over here on the right-hand side. All right, so your docked panels may look just slightly different and maybe in a different order than what I have on mine. Okay. All right, moving on to selecting and using tools. The tools panel contains tools for creating and modifying page objects, adding and formatting of text and images, and working with color. Now, there are some things to understand when working with the tools panel. Okay. Not all of the tools are visible. All right. So if you have had Adobe Photoshop or even Illustrator, you're going to see a lot of similarities here. Okay. Not all of the tools in the tools panel are visible. All right. Some of them are hidden and grouped together. The tools that do contain hidden tools are going to be your type tool and your pen and pencil tool, your rectangular frame and rectangle tool. All right. You got a free transform and even a color theme. Okay. So these tools that have additional tools that are hidden but grouped together, you are going to notice that there is a small black or even like a gray, depending on the color of your workspace that you're working in. Okay. You're going to notice a little colored triangle in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so since my theme that I'm working in is dark, mine is going to be kind of a grayish triangle. All right, if I were to hold that down, that is going to hold that down with my left mouse button. That's going to pop out a menu of additional tools. All right, the tool that is actually showing in the tools panel is the one that is indicated by the little filled square. All right, so you notice that my type tool is the one that is showing in my tools panel. Okay, and then I also have type on a path tool here. All right, so basically in order to access these, you just hover over that triangle in the lower right hand corner and hold your mouse button down. On my mouse, it is the left mouse button, and that will pop those tools out. All right, and that works the same for all of them. So I'm just holding this down, and you can see that my pen tool, I have options in here for my pen tool, other tools that are grouped together. And of course, my pen tool, the actual pen tool itself, is the one that is showing and active in my tools panel. Okay, so that's just our current visible tool. Now, just like with Photoshop and Illustrator, you can view your tools panel as a single column or a double column, okay, or even a horizontal row. I don't want mine as a horizontal row. Basically, that's just going to put your tools across the top here. Now, basically, all you have to do is just click this little arrow, all right, to take that from 1 to 2 columns. Okay. I like to leave mine as 2 because I just don't have as much space on my laptop screen. And some of my tools actually kind of fall below down here in my taskbar, okay, in my Windows taskbar. So if I take and view my tools panel as a 2 column, I can actually see all of them. All right, it is important to get to know the tools panel. Okay, it is very helpful to know the name of the tool and their key corresponding keyboard shortcut. Okay, so if you hover over those little tooltips are going to pop up. For instance, if I just merely hover over the type tool, it's going to give me that tooltip in parentheses. So that is T on our keyboard. Okay. So if I hover over my selection tool, it tells me that that one actually has 2. It's V and escape. Okay. The direct selection tool is A on my keyboard and so on. So it can be very helpful to you to, while you are learning the tools, understanding what their name is and what the tool looks like, to just hover over that and kind of get used to using those keyboard shortcuts because they are a shortcut and they can definitely save you some time. Reviewing the control panel. All right, the control panel is located directly up here under our menu bar. Okay, so I want to go ahead and take a quick look at that. Okay, so if you are used to working in Photoshop, all right, as I had mentioned a few minutes ago, you may be familiar with that term, your options bar, with it being click sensitive. So depending on what tool you have selected or what you have selected, what you are working on, okay, your control panel is going to change to reflect what you have selected or what tool that you are working with. Okay, so basically, it's just going to offer to us a quick access to options for editing, whatever it is that we have selected. Okay, so this is, if I have my type tool selected, you can see that my control panel up here at the top automatically changes to reflect everything associated with my type tool. Okay, if I am going to have my selection tool as active, then everything up here in my control panel is automatically going to change to reflect what it is that is directly related to my selection tool. Okay, so if I come down here and select the workshop planting a hummingbird garden and I select that text box, all right, then of course the options have everything to do with placement and different things like that. The color of fill and how we wrap text around an image and different things like that, X and Y coordinates, the width and height of the text box. All right. So depending on what we have selected here on our screen or what tool we have selected, our control panel is going to reflect that. All right. Reviewing the document window and pasteboard. Each page or spread. Okay. So a page is a single page. A spread is 2 pages, like pages 2 and 3, for example. All right. So each page or spread is surrounded by its own pasteboard. This is the pasteboard area that you see here. Now, depending on what color theme that you have for your InDesign, okay, for your workspace, all right, your pasteboard may be slightly different color. All right, because I'm just working with more of a darker theme. But the pasteboard is this area that is out here, okay? And that area is used for work or storage, all right? It's basically a holding place if you think about it. It is a place to hold elements that have not yet been included in your page layout. Now, in today's lesson, we don't really have anything on our pasteboard, but there will come a time whenever I think it's going to be in the next lesson, all right, when we're actually going to get to see some things out on our pasteboards. When we start the lesson on getting to know InDesign, I think when we open up that start file, there's going to be a few things out on our pasteboard, okay? Working with panels. Panels provide quick access to commonly used tools and features. By default, various panels are docked on the right side of the screen and display the panels depending on which workspace is selected. To display a hidden panel, choose the panel name from the window menu or the submenu on the window menu. And you can expand and collapse the panel, hide the panel name, and expand all of the panels in the dock. You can also dock and undock your panels, okay? For example, if you were to start out with the Essentials workspace, I'm going to give that just a second here, and you can see that that's working. And now on the Essentials workspace, it starts out with your properties, pages, CC libraries, and I can scroll down here and everything is associated. And then we have kind of a vertical column here of additional collapsed panels that are just basically down to their little icon, all right, instead of their name. And so basically, as I'd mentioned, pretty much everything I'm going to do is going to be in typography. I find that for most of what I'm going to be working on, especially for lecturing and working these particular lessons in the book, it just provides a nice way to have everything organized and docked in those panels. And then, of course, you can see not only just the little icon for the pages panel, but it also lists the name of it besides. So here is the little icon that goes with it, and then there's the page panel. When you click it, it actually pops that open to the left-hand side. And then everything that you see here that is grouped together in that dock is actually going to be listed side by side when that panel actually opens to the left. So here's the pages. And then if I click the next one, it corresponds to layers and then links and swatches and CC libraries. And then we have the properties. Oops, that one closed on me. So you can see there. And then if I move on to the next one for glyphs, all right, my text wrap is beside it. So there's things that you can have that are grouped together. All right, it's kind of like panels, if you will. Okay, so you can kind of see here. So your docked panels on that right side, you may not have all of those open. All right, but by the time that you get towards the end of working the lessons in the book, of course you will. Okay, so I think it is in lesson 9 that you guys are going to be working a lot with styles and stuff like that. So you will have like a lot of these open in the later lessons. All right. So in the meantime, if there is a panel that you want to work with that you don't see docked, there's going to be located under window. Okay. Some of those will even be grouped. So like under color, there's going to be a drop down or kind of like a pop out menu there with color, gradient, and swatches. Okay. I mean, so you can kind of see what I'm saying. All right. So especially under styles, all of the styles are out there. Cell, character, object, paragraph, style packs, and table styles. So you can see that there. And then of course there's different things that we're going to be working with like glyphs and stuff like that. So in tables. And then you can see how they're all kind of organized. So a lot of the panels, if they're not already open, they'll be located on your menu bar at the top under window. All right. Some of the ones that have check marks next to them, okay, those are the ones that are already showing by default. You can see your control panel and your tools panel and your contextual taskbar and stuff like that. Okay. Changing the magnification of a document. Controls in InDesign let you view documents at any zoom level. Okay, a little tidbit of knowledge here. You can zoom from 5% all the way up to 4,000%. All right, Photoshop, I think it's 5 to 2,000. All right, so InDesign actually zooms in a lot more than what Photoshop does. You can enlarge or reduce the view of a document in one of several ways. You guys are probably going to find one of these ways that you like best, and you'll probably use it most often. Okay, now you can use your view up on your menu bar at the top. There is your zoom in and zoom out. Okay, notice since I'm on a Windows computer that zoom in is control and equal, and to zoom out is control and minus. Okay. You can also do view and fit page in window. which if you want to do a keyboard shortcut for that would be Control and 0. You can do View, Fit, Spread, and Window, which would be Control Alt 0. All right, so your keyboard modifiers for those of you working on a Mac will have those Mac ones on there, like Commands and Option and stuff like that. You can also choose a percentage, which is a preset increment from the zoom level menu in the lower left-hand corner of our document window. So if we kind of just take a look down here at the bottom, in the lower left-hand corner, it says 134.25%, which also corresponds to the 134% up here. You can also click that and see that you can zoom in increments all the way from 5 to 4,000%. Okay, so that's kind of really cool as well. And then, of course, you can use your zoom tool. Okay, it looks like your little magnifying glass. So you can also use your zoom tool and zoom in and out. All right, so pick which one that you guys like, and you can try your hand at using all of them. Navigating through a document. InDesign offers several different ways to navigate through a document. Again, several ways to do the exact same thing. You're probably going to, again, find your favorite and use it most often. So you can use your Pages panel. So scrolling back up here to the top. All right, so our Pages panel, okay, it is a panel that we're going to be using pretty much every lesson. And it shows us, and we will talk more about this whenever we create a document from scratch, but we have our parent pages at the top. At the bottom is what we're going to see in our workspace in our document area here. We have page 1. And then if I click on page 2, this would be the second page. All right, you can use your hand tool, okay, which is legit, a hand in the tools panel. Okay, you can see that right there, and it is H on a keyboard shortcut. You can use the Go to Page dialog box. So I'm going to do Control J on my keyboard, okay, again on Windows, and then you can tell InDesign what page you'd like to jump to by using your arrow up and down, or you can just do your drop down and choose if you want to go to your parent page or page 1 or 2. All right, you can also use your controls in the document window. So down here at the bottom is the exact same thing. So right across from your zoom level where it says 134.25%, we have where you can actually do, first page, previous, next page, last page, next spread, all these buttons down here, okay? You can see some of them are available because we can go to the next page, all right? And then you can go back, all right? And then, of course, we have our drop down, which offers the exact same options right here as Control J does on the Go to Page dialog box, okay? All right, so there are lots of ways to be able to jump around, okay? So up here on our menu bar at the top under Layout, here are the exact same things that I was telling you about, okay, with corresponding keyboard shortcuts. Okay. Using context menus. In addition to menus at the top of the screen, you can use context menus to display commands relevant to an active tool or selection. To display context menus, simply position the pointer over a selected object or basically anywhere in your document window and issue a right click. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back up here and make sure that my selection tool is selected in my tools panel. Okay. And I'm going to just select the text box I used as an illustration earlier, okay, when I was talking to you about the control panel, all right? Not only do when I click this text box, I have my selection tool selected, my control panel, this is what it shows, okay, up at the top, but if I issue a right click, I get a contextual menu that pops out, all right, which then offers a lot of right-clicking things, okay, that you're probably used to having access to in other applications. Okay, so you can see here that with my text box selected, I can do a lot of different things. You know, I can cut and I can copy, and I can do some transforming. I can do some layering, okay, by arranging, and I can also lock this. I can add some effects to it. I can apply links to it. So there's just all kinds of different things. So depending on what you have selected is basically going to depend on what you have available to you in your contextual menu. Okay, so I just selected on an image, and then when I right clicked, I actually got a text to image beta box that popped up in addition to my contextual menu. Okay, so you can see there what is available to you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just close that out. Okay. So again, it depends on what you have selected when you right click. That is what you're going to see in your contextual menu. Okay. And of course, when I happen to select this image, this is when my contextual taskbar popped up at the top. Okay. So under my window on my menu bar at the top, the contextual taskbar, it was showing. It just, I don't know, maybe it was hidden. So as soon as I clicked my image, my contextual taskbar, it popped up. Okay, so if you were wondering what that is, that's what that is. All right. So there's really not too much more that I wanted to really cover other than to say when we are using panels, if we just go back and take a look simply at the pages panel, okay, that most all of these panels have additional panel specific options. Okay, everything is very neat and very organized, and that's great for us. All right. And then if you take a look up here, there is an additional like icon up there. Okay, some refer to that as like a little hamburger icon. It's the one that has the little lines up in the upper right hand corner. That is simply just your panel menu button. Okay, sometimes I even refer to that as your more button. All right, so when you click it, it actually has more options. All right, but those options are specific to the panel. So if I click the panel menu button, it's going to display additional commands and options that are specifically related to the pages panel. Okay, I can insert pages, move, duplicate, delete. I can work with parent pages from here. We will talk about that more in an additional lesson coming up later on. Whenever we set up a document and work with pages, we'll talk more about that then. All right, but if we take a look at the layers panel and we click that panel menu button, okay, of course, that's got additional commands and options specifically related to working with layers, okay? So that button is what is going to get you additional options that are grouped and organized specifically for that panel, okay? Now, what I'm going to have you do on this particular lesson is that as you are reading and kind of working through this lesson, there's really no quote hands-on that you're doing. You are, but you're not really making any changes to the 01 underscore intro.indd file. It's more you getting acquainted with the workspace, understanding where things are located, understanding how you can maneuver around the workspace, open up panels, put them back, you know, do a drag and drop here, what happens, you know, so the book is just basically going to walk you through it on this lesson so that you can get comfortable. So if you've had the opportunity to work with InDesign before, that's wonderful. This will be a recap for you. If you have never opened InDesign or done anything with it at all, that's fine too. Okay, so basically it's going to put everybody on the same level when you get done with this lesson, okay? And basically this lesson is going to end on modifying interface preferences where you can actually set up what you want your interface to look like, okay? Not just your workspace, but basically your theme, okay? Do you prefer dark theme or light theme. Okay. You can tell which themes I prefer. All right. And that is true. Okay. My phone, my email, everything. I just personally like dark theme. Okay. But you'll be able to end with that. So you'll be able to set up InDesign basically to your liking. Okay. Which is great. Okay. So exploring on your own on these chapters are never going to be required. So you don't have to do them. Okay. So when the lesson ends with you updating your preferences, you are done. Okay. Now, what I am going to have you do specifically for my class is that I want you to get used to opening up your lesson file, resaving it as the file name that the book provides. So 01 underscore start has been resaved as 01 underscore intro.indd. And even though you didn't do anything here, okay, you guys didn't change any text, you didn't select, your background color of your text box and change it to something else. You didn't really do anything. It was more just getting acquainted with the workspace and all of that. I'm still going to have you guys do one last final save. All right. Notice once you save that the little asterisk that's to the left of the 01 underscore intro, that asterisk will then disappear once you do your final save. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and have you submit this on Blackboard for some points. Okay. So it's just kind of getting you guys used to this. And even though there really wasn't a lot of hands on to do, you still read the lesson and followed the steps in the book and got acquainted. And I still want to give you some points for doing that. So when you are completely done, please make sure you do one final save, and then you can go over into Blackboard, and then you can go ahead and turn this in under lesson 1. Okay. All right. So I hope that you guys feel more comfortable after having read and worked this for yourself and watched this video with me. And I will see you for the next lesson.